Good morning. Here we are in the beautiful Paris with amazing Eiffel Tower right at my back. In July of this year, I visited Paris for the very first time. So I finally made it to Paris. And here are 20 of the must-do things and must-see places for your first time to this incredible place with some useful tips. Well, this is the famous Eiffel Tower. First is obviously to visit the Eiffel Tower. It is such an icon in the world that seeing it in person for the very first time is most probably going to blow your mind away with its imposing 330 meters height. It's an early morning here. As you can see, the sun is just rising now, hitting my face with Eiffel Tower right at my back. It's one of the famous spots to come out here to check out the Eiffel Tower before the crowds get in here. So it's called Trocadero, and make sure you check out this place to have awesome pictures with the Eiffel Tower. Don't forget to check the Eiffel Tower at night for its magical sparkling show, which occurs every hour from sundown to midnight. But you will quickly get over it as there are so many more things to do in Paris. Next is obviously the popular National Art Museum in Paris, the Louvre Museum, which is also one of the most famous museums in the world. Well, it has the Mona Lisa on display. But getting a ticket requires booking at least 2 weeks in advance. And if you are not big on museum like me, then instead of wasting precious time at the Louvre waiting in the long queues, you can stroll around the museum and soak in the incredible architecture and the garden that surrounds it. Since we are on the topic of museum, instead of Louvre Museum, you can visit an equally amazing museum, which is Musée d'Orsay, and it's also nearby to the Louvre and filled with contemporary arts and housed in an old railway station. I really enjoyed looking at the beautiful art, especially the Van Gogh pieces. Plan to spend a minimum of 2 to 3 hours, and by the end of it, you can tick visiting a museum in Paris from your list. So things here in Paris tends to get crowded very quickly. So whatever you have planned, just make sure you get to that location as soon as possible and early in the morning. Because if you go early, you have more chance not to waste your time waiting in queues. Because waiting in queues for museums, even to go to the Eiffel Tower, is just crazy out here. Enough about museum. The next thing to do is to check the most elegant church in Paris, Basilica of Sacré de Montmartre, which is located at the summit of the highest hill in Paris, called the Butte of Montmartre, which is about 130 meters in height. Its construction started in the year 1875 and has since become a very popular place. I was mesmerized by the impressive mosaic inside the church, and it is definitely one of the most scenic places in Paris, as you can get an amazing panoramic view of all of Paris, even though it was a bit rainy when I went there. As the name says, the Basilica of Sacré de Montmartre is located in the neighborhood called Montmartre. It is a must-visit neighborhood as it is famous for its artistic heritage, and it has a distinct village atmosphere characterized by steep, winding cobble streets, which makes it feel different from the rest of Paris and definitely brings out the romantic charm of Paris. While you are in Montmartre, check out the artist market where you can see talented artists drawing portraits of tourists, and is overall a very lively area. Not far from there, you will find a monument dedicated to love, as you would expect in Paris. It supposedly has the word "I love you" written in 250 different languages. A common game going on there by tourists is to try and spot your language on the wall. Well, next thing is to try the food in Paris. It goes without saying that food in Paris is worth a trip on its own. From the irresistible pastries to exotic delicacies such as snails, foie gras, and of course the traditional steak with French fries, bœuf bourguignon and canard confit, which are all must-try dishes. For the sweet tooths, crème brûlée should be your dessert of choice. I elaborate a bit further on this in my ultimate guide for first-timers video. Click up right here to watch it. After eating the delicious French food, one of the best things to do in the afternoon is to walk around the Jardin du Luxembourg, or Luxembourg Garden in English. It was created in the early 1600s and spans over 25 acres in size. It is split into French gardens and English garden, and it is the most beautiful garden in Paris, in my opinion. Not far from Jardin du Luxembourg, you will notice the Pantheon, which was a former church and later in the 1800s was converted into a burial place for the great men and women of French history. So this building is iconic because it is used as a resting place for the people that have helped to shape the history of France. So it's quite a nice spot to get some photos, so come out here and check it out. It supposedly houses the tombs of over 70 great French writers, scientists, generals, churchmen, and politicians. As you must have noticed by now, walking in Paris is a treat for itself. The city is super walkable and every little street will charm you. If you enjoy walking, I recommend that as your main means of transportation to visit almost all of the landmarks of Paris. You can easily spend half a day just roaming along the beautiful streets and neighborhood of Paris, or arrondissement as it is called in French. I recommend walking along the Saint-Germain-des-Prés promenade, which is in the 6th arrondissement. It is full of chic luxury boutiques, charming streets, lively cafes and energy, and is unlike any other arrondissement in Paris. So first in Paris, and we have walked over 23,000 steps. So be ready to walk a lot in Paris and get some comfy shoes. And next is the Sainte Chapelle et Cathédrale Notre Dame, often referred to simply as Notre Dame. It is a medieval Catholic cathedral and was the residence of the kings of France until the 14th century. Unfortunately, it was still in renovation when I was there, due to a disastrous fire that broke out in the cathedral in 2019. And we cannot go in. It's also packed with tourists all around it. But if I had to choose between this and the Sacré de Montmartre, I would say the Sacré de Montmartre is way better looking than this one, and a lot more exciting to go to. Well, being in Paris, the fashion capital, you might be up for some shopping. And there's no better place than the Champs-Élysées. It is a 1.9 kilometers boulevard with a large portion of it filled with luxury boutiques, which is really cool, even though I am more of a window shopper. It runs between the Place de la Concorde, which is this monument, and ends at the Arc de Triomphe, which is the next place to check out for some iconic photos in Paris. Arc de Triomphe is definitely one of the most famous monuments in Paris and a must-see. It honors those who fought and died for France in the French Revolution and Napoleonic Wars. It is definitely a very popular place and one of the coolest places to snap a photo in all of Paris. Just beware of the busy streets as everybody's trying to get a photo amongst cars driving around. Right now we are just standing here at the famous Champs-Élysées, and it's quite a nice spot. You must check it out, but it's really crowded. So just try to get a place on the street. It's kind of dangerous, but that is a place you have to be to get the best photo. To cool down, you can relax at the peaceful Jardin des Tuileries, or Tuileries Garden in English, which is close to the Louvre Museum. Entry is free and it is just one of the best places to reset yourself for the remainder of your trip in Paris. If you want to do some last-minute shopping, then there's no better place than Galeries Lafayette, which is an upmarket French department store chain, and in Arrondissement 9, you will find the flagship store. Definitely an eye-catching place with all its luxury shops and ceiling paintings, but since I am not big on shopping, I included this on my list because it has a secret rooftop that you can access for free. So make sure you check out Galeries Lafayette when you're visiting Paris and you come out to this free spot which is on the rooftop of Galeries Lafayette. It's one of the best spots to have a beautiful view of the entire Paris city and Eiffel Tower in the far distance. The Palais Garnier, also known as l'Opéra Garnier, is a historic opera with almost 2,000 seats, and you can admire it up close from the rooftop of Galeries Lafayette. Tickets to visit are available to the public. Next is Centre Pompidou or Pompidou Center, which is the National Center for Art and Culture. It's definitely a cool place to hang out, and if you go to its 7th floor, you get another amazing panoramic view of Paris. Next is to practice some French. Why not? After all, you are in France and it's considered to be a beautiful language. So go ahead and try to order in French. It will instantly put a smile on your waiter's face and you can make your dining experience even better. If you want to know some useful French words, watch this video up here. And finally, the River Seine, which is supposedly clean enough to be used for the Paris 2024 Olympics. If you find yourself confused about the geography of Paris, which you will probably be in the first few days, then the river is your key point of reference. Most of the landmarks are located along the River Seine, and good thing is that there are multiple boats going along it where you can get a hop-on and hop-off boat which will take you to most of the iconic places. This can be a really cool option to explore Paris, especially if you're short on time. And if you're with your loved one, then a dinner cruise on the Seine River can be a very romantic thing to do. Just make sure to book well in advance. So this is where this video comes to an end. I hope it will be useful for your upcoming first trip to Paris, and don't forget to check out this video for all of the must-know information for your first trip to this incredible capital. See you in the next one.